Hi, this is Dr. Tenesha Wards with Infinity Wellness Center. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about a story, our story, and it involves COVID. And I know I'm sick of talking about it, so I know you're sick of hearing about it. We're 18 months in, but I feel like this needs to be said and be told. And if there's ever a time I've become even more passionate about fixing underlying causes in our health, it's now, and I'll tell you why. June or July, my husband went on a trip, on a bachelor party with fraternity brothers, people he's known for years. And, we've taken COVID very seriously. We, of course, were shut down by the government at first. Both of our businesses, like scariest times in our professional career, either of us have ever experienced. And then we got back to it, right, when things started to open up, right, the 2-week shutdown. 6 weeks later, we went back into our places of business. And I've done more telehealth, and that's great, and that's exciting, and that's room for growth and safe. But I've also had to go back in and work with people. So we've taken it very serious, but we've also decided we can't live in fear because this is how we feed our families. This is how we work. This is how we make a living. So we have been dealing with the public and taking all the precautions, still in the office. So anyway, the week that my husband was gone, my office manager was also out sick. So admittedly, I was burning the candle at home, single parenting, at the office early and late, taking care of all the stuff. So by the time he arrived back on a Sunday, I was a little tired. Admittedly, my immune system was probably down. I wasn't keeping up with my supplements as well, barely exercised, like the whole thing. So he arrived on a Sunday. Monday, he woke up and said, I just have a little bit of a sinus infection. And again, this is my perception, my version. Took half a day off Monday rather. Tuesday, felt fine. Got up, worked, took phone calls. He worked from the house. He mostly does work at home a lot unless he's cooking. Wednesday, felt a little run down again. Now it was a little tired with a sinus infection. There was sinus pressure. Thought, okay, I had too much fun on the trip. I feel a little bad. Thursday, he felt pretty bad. And we're like, uh-oh, we're supposed to go on vacation in like 2 weeks. We're like, uh-oh, this could be COVID. And I think the next day I started feeling the exact same symptoms of head pressure. I spiked fever pretty early on, joint aches, the whole thing, right? And wherever you fall in the line of COVID and who and what and how, doesn't matter. I just want to share our story. A friend that was with him by Thursday, also showing severe symptoms, and I don't have the exact timeline. I think by Thursday went and admitted himself into the hospital. And another, 7 to 10 days, we quarantined. We took all the stuff. I'm going to go over kind of what we did for our immune system, how we helped it. And we recovered and we were able to go on vacation. His friend didn't. He went into the hospital and he was put on a vent, and 12 weeks later, about 12 weeks later, was taken off of the vent and passed away, leaving 3 small children under the age of 11 and a wife. So again, we're all tired of hearing about it. We're all so tired of hearing about it. I don't know his friend's health history. Our friend, he was a fraternity brother of my husband's. I don't know his full health history. I suspect there was some underlying issues. I know for sure there were some habits that I think probably weren't the healthiest. And it's suspected he may have had a heart condition. Nobody knows for sure. And again, I'm not that close to him, so I don't have the inside on that. But what I do know is that they were both training for a hunt, to go hunting. And my husband completely cleaned up his diet. It was pretty dang good to begin with. Completely cleaned up his diet, hired a trainer, was working out 5 days a week, was in great shape when he went into this mess. I'm sure he was drinking on his trip and not eating great, right, when he caught it. But he's been in one of the best shapes of his adult life. And his friend was not. His friend was also going to go on the hike and on the trip, the hunting trip, not hike, hunting trip, and hadn't started training yet, hadn't cut out sugar, hadn't stopped smoking. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there that I feel like I just need to talk about and needs to be addressed. You know, as Americans, we're thinking it's not going to hit us, or as people, I guess, even you could say, or, you know, I'm healthy, I'm in my 40s, 30s, whatever. What's your definition of healthy? Is it eating fast food 3 times a week? Is it smoking on the weekends? Is it drinking 4 or 5 nights a week? Let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation. And I'm going to dive into a couple things that I think should be done immediately. Immediately. If you have survived COVID or not, if you haven't gone through it, like some basic things to see if there's underlying issues, because that's, I think, who's getting wiped out. That's who I think is not making it through this, is people with underlying issues. I think that's a big part of it, but I think our lifestyle, our sedentary lifestyle, the standard American SAD diet is another big part of it. So, you know, it can affect people, you know, and I see these, I don't know, posts about, you know, 45-year-old woman dies of COVID, you know, and it shows a picture of her, and I can just look at her and know she's got diabetes. She's probably got an autoimmune disorder. Like, she looks puffy. Like, I'm thinking, this isn't a healthy 45-year-old woman. There's probably something going on, and we're walking around and we don't even know about it. So I'm going to just go into some very, very basic things to do. And if it can just help one person go get their blood work, or one person stop smoking, or one person don't go to a fast food restaurant and eliminate sugar, and they start exercising, I think the story needs to be told. Discussed it with my husband, and he, you know, it's a vulnerable situation and place for us to have this conversation. But I don't care. I don't care. We did it, and he knows it, and he was okay with it. So I am going to share my screen. We've written, again, I'm sick of talking about it. My marketing team's sick of writing and posting blogs about it. We're all freaking sick of talking about COVID, but it's still here and people are still dying. So it just hits really hard when it's somebody that you know. Okay. And nothing's changed. Bodies don't change. The human body doesn't change. Nothing has changed since we wrote this article, and this is the one I decided to go with. December 1st, 2020. Nothing's changed. So here's just some really practical things you can do. Cut out processed sugar. Like, it's poison. It's crap. Processed foods. It causes inflammation. We know inflammation is the underlying cause for most disease. Inflammation, there's cytokines in inflammation, right? And the big scary thing about COVID is the cytokine storm and how it affects the lungs. And, you know, if you're already inflamed going into a virus that causes severe inflammation, not good. So we can run inflammatory markers in your blood work, but cutting out foods that knowingly inflame you. You know what inflames you because you feel bad after you eat it. You look bad after you eat it. You look puffy. Your belly's bloated. Like, you know if Whataburger is bad for you or if sodas are bad for you. Like, if you need a list of inflammatory foods, shoot me an email. I can give it to you, but I feel like we know. Or maybe we don't. Like, maybe that's part of the problem. So processed sugars are in things like cookies, breads, buns, sodas, candy, cupcakes, cookies, I said cakes, right? Like, we gotta live the 80-20 rule, right? Or 90-10 rule. You gotta have it sometimes. But if you're in sales and you're on the road, or you're, you know, working from home, how often are you eating out? How often are you, you know, favoring fast food? You know, how often are you entertaining clients and drinking? Is it 2-3 nights a week? Like, that's gonna cause inflammation. That's what I'm talking about. Exercise daily. Exercise daily. Even if it's 15 minutes. I mean, 5 days a week is great. If you can even just, you know, walk 5 days a week for 20 minutes, 30 minutes is great. Move your body. Stretch. Doesn't have to be an intense workout all the time. It could be yoga. Again, it could be a walk. It could be playing with your kids in the backyard, riding a bike, like whatever you love to do. Dance parties are big at our house. Anybody who knows me knows that. Whatever it is, for 30 minutes, move your body at least 4 to 5 times a week. This is a big one. Number 3, run your blood labs. Like, let's find out if you're vulnerable, which is spelled wrong. I'll fix that. Let's find out what issues may be making you vulnerable. Do you have prediabetes? Are you dealing with some inflammatory markers? Is your cholesterol high? That's usually an indication that the liver's not working properly and inflamed. Are your liver enzymes high? I can go on and on about this topic, and I've made a video about our labs. But, the big things, are you dealing with an autoimmune disorder? The big people that are most risk. Are you diabetic? Autoimmunity, diabetic, just inflamed, high cholesterol, liver enzymes, like what the heck's going on inside your body? If you're not doing this annually, in Western medicine's annual blood labs are okay. We do a much thorough functional panel, but at least start with your blood labs from your primary care doctor. Like, at least start there. Cholesterol, blood sugar, hemoglobin A1C, those things. Check your gut. You've probably seen these yogurt commercials. 80% of your immune system's in your gut lining. That's 100% true. Are you on a probiotic? Do you have leaky gut? If you're having things like constipation, diarrhea, bloating, gas, daily or even weekly, there's something going on with the gut. There's something going on with the gut. If your stools are not shaped and formed like a banana, there's something going on. And every day, at least 1 bowel movement a day. I'm happier if people have 2 or 3. Every time we have a meal, we should be pushing stool down and having a bowel movement in a perfect world. So are you eating fiber like fruit? Are you eating your vegetables? Are you, eating these things that keep the gut moving or not? Like, if you're eating food that's not even really considered food, that's probably part of the gut issue. Oh, this one is so hard. Just stop smoking. I know it's hard. I guess I don't know because I haven't smoked, but I've seen it be really hard. I can give you a really great example. After 30 some years, my father woke up one day and said he's no longer smoking. Little history, his father died of lung cancer, but years before he stopped. So I know it can be done. I've seen it, but it's not easy. I've seen things like hypnosis work, working with therapists, finding something to put in your mouth. I don't know, a toothpick or whatever, right? But it can be done. If there is ever a time in this world, in this state of our world, to stop smoking, it's now. Let's not inflame the organ, the lungs, that this virus attacks most and is how people end up on a vent. Cigarettes, cigars for sure, but even marijuana there's other forms to do it. You can cool it through, other ways. And so it's not as inflammatory, right? If you're doing it every day, there's heat, there's inflammation that is stressful and breaks down our lung tissue. That's probably my problem with inhaling, is it breaks down, it heats up, it damages the lung tissue. So then you get hit with a virus that attaches to those, the ACE receptors and causes cytokine storms in that area. It's just not good. It's just, this I think is a big, big issue. If you are a smoker, things like N-acetylcysteine, nitric oxide, I didn't put it on here, but 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C is what's needed to repair the damage of 1 cigarette. Let me say that again. 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C is needed to repair the damage of 1 cigarette. So if you did smoke 30 years like my father, there's some damage. So doing these things that are antioxidants that help with the lungs help. But also this is something that we took while we were sick. We took N-acetylcysteine and nitric oxide 3 times a day, 2 tablets, 500 milligrams of NaC 3 times a day to decrease the inflammation in our lungs. And I will say it did not move into the chest really for either of us. Neither of us had a moment of, this is life-threatening, I can't breathe, thank God. We both had some chest tightness afterwards, but did not have the issues with the lungs. An antiviral, we took all of this when we got sick, all of it. Zinc, Podiarco, garlic, monolaurin, and oregano. We were already on some zinc. Again, I wasn't on it the week before I got sick, and monolaurin, and we were already taking. But an antiviral, we took all of the antivirals. Why an antiviral? Is because it stops viral replication. Yes, once you get the virus, it has to run its course, but how long matters with that. Antioxidants, vitamin C and vitamin D, there are studies out there now that people with vitamin D levels close to 80 had lesser effects of COVID. They weren't life-threatening effects. They recovered quicker. People close to 80 IUs on the scale that you run your blood of vitamin D. So I think 80 is a sweet spot, 60 to 80 to look. Some Western medicine doctors will tell you 80 is too high, but the studies are there. Anti-inflammatory, vitamin D and glutathione. These things also help just lower inflammation in the body. Vitamin D is an antioxidant and it helps with inflammation. So big fan of vitamin D. And people always ask, well, how much should I take? And my answer is, what's your current level? How low are you or aren't you, right? So if I can hover around 80 in my labs, I'm only taking about 2,000 a day to keep that there, right? If you're in the 30s or the 20s, which is considered pathologically low, you probably need 5 or 10,000 IUs a day until you get it back up. And then adrenal stress and support. This is all prevention stuff here, adrenal support, but also during, I guess we took a lot of that. So stress matters. Stress lowers our immune system. Again, kind of telling my story. I was a week by myself in both situations in my home where my work wife was gone and my husband was gone. And it is what it is. It was what it was. I was more stressed. I was taking adrenal support, probably not as much as I needed that week. So this all matters. And this is stuff that I just don't think is being talked about enough or looked at in mainstream media. Again, wherever you fall on the whole COVID topic, it's just not being talked about enough. They're finally talking a little bit about vitamin D in the news, finally, because these studies came out. And I just was like, praise the Lord, somebody's looking at the immune system. And I said this from the beginning, I don't think it's a matter of if you get exposed to COVID, I think it's a matter of when, and will your body handle it? That's the question. And our friends did not. And again, if looking at this stuff can help one person, I'm just very thankful I get to do this kind of work. For the full article, and there's also a live video that I did on talking about this, it's at austinholisticdoctor.com. It's under one of our blogs, tips for COVID immunity. It's under our blog posts, wellness blog. So information's out there. Just unfortunately have to look for it. It's not obvious information. If you have any questions, let us know. Be happy to help you see if you have any underlying factors, dig into this. If not me, somebody, please just go get checked out and see if you have any underlying concerning issues. All right, thanks so much for letting me go over all of this with you, and I hope it helps.